Hello everyone, welcome to the classroom. Today we'll be discussing James Gunn and Peter Safran's plans for Phase 1 of the DC Cinematic Universe. Thank you for joining us as always. So DC has been trying to have a shared cinematic universe for a while. You all surely know about the DCEU period, which has been kinda petering off since the 2017 cut of Justice League. But there was also Justice League Mortal, which was a Justice League film meant to have George Miller to direct. It was meant to come out around 2009 or 10, but the studio lost interest mainly due to their interest in doing individual movies versus a team-up movie, and the success of the Nolan Batman films. Even before then, you can find examples which allude to a shared universe with films featuring legacy characters such as Supergirl in George Orwell's 1984 and Steel in 1997. But now the dust has settled from the Great Snyder Cataclysm, the Warner Bros. Fiasco, the endless culling of projects, even finished ones like Batgirl, which, by the way, I think is fucking stupid. Like I said, the movie was finished, and Warner Bros. Chose not to release it to get a tax write-off. Now, economic or monetary stuff aside, I know nothing about that. If I ran the IRS, it would stand for I are stupid. But from the artistic perspective, I can say for sure that that is bogus. I want to see the Batgirl movie, fuck you. So, all of that, of course, leads up to James Gunn and Peter Safran taking the helm of DC Films, and let me tell you, I could not be happier about that. Gunn has directed two of the best MCU movies, that being the Guardians of the Galaxy films, and Safran seems like he's a really good movie producer, but I don't know what that means. Gunn got his start doing fun, schlocky horror films like Slither, where he worked with Michael Rooker, who we would later use as Yondu in the Guardians films. This has already been a big selling point for me on Gunn as the head of DC. I love horror, and I especially love silly B-movie horror, but what really gave me faith in Gunn was, of course, The Suicide Squad.
Really bad.
Wrong. The Suicide Squad is not just one of the best DC movies, but it shows perfectly why Gunn is a great choice to head up DC Films. And if you disagree, well then, I think that you're wrong. What do you think about that, smart guy? This movie shows that not only did Gunn prepare for a Suicide Squad film properly, executing a tone which goes between people with stupid powers slapping each other to a serious critique of the US State Department, then back to a giant pink and blue starfish slapping people. I think Gunn has the perfect mix to lead DC Films, a mix of comic book knowledge and love, real artistic talent, and just being a silly little creature. Since the start of the new year, DC fans have been waiting in eager anticipation to hear about Gunn and Safran's plan for the new cinematic universe. Real quick fun fact aside, DC was never actually meant to be a shared universe in the comics either. Characters like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash were all created by different companies and then compiled into one DC universe. I might bring that up later, but if I don't, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. And just to be safe, you better do that now. I said you better do that now. And come on, I need this. But just the other day, and I think a lot sooner than most people were expecting, Gunn laid out him and Safran's plans for just part of the DC universe, so let's get into that. The first DC phase will be called Gods and Monsters. Now personally, I was expecting like some New Gods stuff and maybe Themyscira, but anyways. First up will be the TV series with Creature Commandos, an animated series featuring an ensemble cast of oddball characters, and it's written by Gunn, which good, because that's clearly his favorite thing in the world to write. Originally, this team was a team of classic movie monsters assembled to fight Nazis, but this series will take place in the modern day. The team will feature characters such as Frankenstein, the Bride of, and G.I. Robot, as well as Weasel making a return, if not literally, then spiritually, from the Suicide Squad. I am really excited for this one. The art style is very unique and heavily detailed, so I hope it keeps this look. Gunn has also talked about how their animated fare will use the same actors as live action, so all the more reason to cast Chris Pratt in more voice roles, guys, come on. Next up is Waller, with Amanda the Wall Waller, with Viola Davis returning and writers from Watchmen and the creator of the Doom Patrol series. I loved Peacemaker, and Viola Davis as Waller is one of the most faithful comic book performances of all time. Amanda Waller is best at being the worst bureaucrat in the world, and I'm just excited to see more of her. Next up is Lanterns, a series described as True Detective with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I have never been a big Green Lantern fan, but I hope that this series is a little more Green Lantern and a little less True Detective because I want it to be very sci-fi. And I hope that they get to use their silly little space rings to do a thing called Enhanced Interrogation. Remember kids, it's not torture if we do it. For the next entry, we have a high fantasy series following in the footsteps of Game of Thrones, which is great because we have so few of those. I'm like half kidding. So Paradise Lost is described as Game of Thrones with Amazonians. I'm kinda indifferent to this, but I do like Wonder Woman, so I don't know. I just hope that they fight big monsters. Booster Gold is the 5th and final series on our list, and this one I have really high hopes for you guys. Booster Gold is hilarious and lovable. If you loved what Gunn did with Star-Lord, you're gonna love this guy. He's a kinda loser from the year 2442 who goes back in time to become a superhero. Gunn is clearly very talented at turning losers into lovable heroes. Speaking of which, Gunn, will have my people talk to your people? Okay. But Booster Gold is super fun and has a lot of emotion going on, especially for a DC hero. Usually he is paired opposite Ted Kord's Blue Beetle, and they have a very fun, fan-favorite friendship, so hopefully we can get that someday, or maybe even in this series. So now that all of that is out of the way, we can make our way to the movie.
We come to this place for magic.
So first off is Superman Legacy, a non-origin Superman story about him balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. All of the images that they've been using to represent this movie are from All-Star Superman, which I hope that they don't directly adapt because I don't think that that would translate very well to film. But I am super excited to have a kind, gentle Superman who was described as someone who is a force for kindness in the world, which is crazy that you have to specify that about Superman, but thank you, Zachary. Speaking of Superman, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, taking its cues from the critically praised Tom King miniseries of the same name. Supergirl grew up on Krypton and watched it die out, so she's got a lot more edge and aggression than Clark, so I'm really glad that we'll be getting that interpretation of her. Next up is The Authority, which will be a film about a team of superheroes with an extreme method of protecting the planet. If I had to guess, this is going to be used to make a point of difference between this and the old Snyder DCEU, which is a really good thing because the general audience doesn't even know about Jack Frost's new plans for DC. Swamp Thing will be the final film of the phase. Not much was said, but it's going to be a horror film, and I'm very excited for that one, due to Gunn and the character's roots in horror. So, before we get into the final project from the studio, let's get into some other news that I am pretty happy about. The Pattinson Batman universe will remain its own thing, and the title for The Batman 2 has been announced. The Batman Part 2. And now for the final announcement, which is the one that I'm most excited for. The Brave and the Bold, a story which will follow Batman meeting his son Damian, who was raised by the League of Assassins and he hardly knows exists before he's Robin. Damian is a little fucking asshole, and I really love him, so I'm super excited to see him on the big screen working alongside his father. I am extremely excited to get live-action Robin done right, though I am a little bummed that we're skipping right to Damian. This is something I've wanted forever, because Robin is really fucking cool, and more people need to know that. Hopefully this will mean that we also get at least a full-fledged Nightwing and Batgirl right off the bat. Characters like Red Hood and Red Robin I still really want to see in this universe, but they can wait to develop them if they want. So that is what we know about Gunn and Safran's plans for the DC Universe so far, but what do you all think? Please let me know down in the comments. But that is the video for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining us as always, and I will see you next week. Bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching that video as always. I really hope you liked it. I think that DC fans are gonna get a lot of good shit coming out soon. I really hope that you all agree. I hope that you're as excited for it as I am, because I really think that DC fans might be really happy with this universe for the next few decades at least. And if I'm wrong about that, well, that'll just haunt me until I die. So, win-win. But anyways, what I have to show off for my collection this week is the manga for Attack on Titan. I have watched part of the anime already, but the way that the Titans are drawn in the manga is just, I don't know, it's just better to me. I think that it achieves, the tone of the series better. They're a lot scarier looking in the manga, so I think that Attack on Titan is probably going to end up being one of those ones that is better read than watched. But anyways, I really hope that y'all had a great time watching that video. I will see you next week.